Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, a better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. This video is from Orlando, Florida. This comes from the Orlando Police Department. They have posted their videos on their YouTube page. They have posted 3 separate body cam footage recordings, and the 4th video they have taken footage from those 3 cameras and they've put it into a somewhat of a presentation. However, it does not follow the typical critical incident briefing type of format. There's no spokesperson talking to the audience explaining what's going on or anything. There's a couple of informational slides, but just not a whole lot of information there. So what I've done is what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the 3 body cam footage recordings, and then I'll go back into each one of those and break them down as such. I'll read to you the news release, and then we'll get into the video. So this video was released to their YouTube page on July 12. Statement from Chief Eric D. Smith on the release of body-worn camera video of the officer-involved shooting on Jefferson Street and North Orange Avenue. Today, in full transparency and accordance to department policy, the Orlando Police Department is releasing body-worn camera video of the officer-involved shooting that occurred on July 3rd, 2023 in the area of Jefferson Street and North Orange Avenue, resulting in the death of Derek Diaz. Our officers proactively patrolled to remove illegal drugs and crime guns off our streets. At the intersection of this incident, there were 431 incidents and 11 guns seized in the last 18 months. Earlier this morning, the Orlando Police Department met with the Diaz family and their attorney to show them body-worn camera video before it was released publicly. I express my sincere condolences to the Diaz family on the loss of their loved one. We understand the need for answers. Maintaining the integrity of the investigation process is also needed so that the facts are provided fairly and transparently. An investigation not only involves body-worn camera video of the incident, but also includes the collection of witness testimony, evidence, and other materials. Since the incident happened, the Orlando Police Department has been cooperating with the FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and we will continue to do so as we are all committed to a thorough and transparent view of this case. Alright, here we go. Nothing wrong with your audio. The camera's in buffer mode, so all 3 cameras will start off like this, where you don't hear any sound, and then they'll hit the record button on their cameras and you'll start to hear audio.
Yo, turn off the car. Turn it off. Yeah, it's in your hand, right there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in this hand and that hand.
My bad.
Now, give me that. Give me the other one and put your hands on the steering wheel right now.
My bad. My bad.
Don't move. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Put your hands on the steering wheel.
Are you guys good? Yeah. You guys shoot?
Yeah, I did.
43 shots fired. Sir, hands!
Hands!
Hey, come on. Okay. I got his hands. Okay. You gotta administer first aid.
All right. Minister A.
I got his hands. Good. Right here. Yo.
You good?
Yo.
Any help? Any help? Go. All right. Stay with me. Hey, stay with me. Stay with me. Breathe. Hey, breathe. Stay with me.
Can you help? Where's the shot?
On the back.
Go. I need an eye flag.
Chest seal.
He was shot in the back.
Let's bring him on.
Hey.
You have any outstanding?
No.
Turn him over. Shot. Right here, boys.
I did.
Okay. You go. Get out.
Goodbye. Yes, sir.
Watch him. Take him.
You're good? Yeah, I'm good.
You want to bring a car with you?
Alright. No, I'm not saying anything.
Shut down at Orange. Shut down at parking garage.
You checked yourself?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright, the quarters on there, they're going to come as fast as they can, and it is secure. That's come for it. Relay that to them. If you want.
No, it should be on the highway.
I have blood on my hands.
You can. Just relax. Did you check out there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll talk to you later.
Anyway, I check out just in case.
Where are you guys at? Just on the floor.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You're off, right?
Yeah. You good? Seems secure? Yeah.
What up, Road? 95. Hey, stop. We're letting police stop. Hey, stop. Hey, I see it. He's at 95.
Yeah, it's in your hand, right there. Okay.
Foxtrot 62 JB, copy 13.
Now, give me that. Give me the other one and put your hands on the steering wheel right now.
We're gonna be at Robinson and Orange.
Don't move.
On you.
Put your hands on the steering wheel. Put your hands.
Stop! Are you guys good? Yeah. You guys shoot?
Yeah, I did.
43 shots fired. Sir, hands! Hands! Foxtrot 6-2. Yo, yo, yo!
2 shots fired, Robinson Orange.
Shots fired!
6-2, go ahead.
Hey, come on. Hey, I got his hands.
Foxtrot 6-2.
We gotta administer a first aid. Come on, come around. Come around. We gotta administer aid.
Come on. Let's go.
I got his hands, you're good.
There's on the live stream. Foxtrot 6-2.
Right here, right here, right here! Yo, yo!
On the live stream, they're in northwest corner of Orange and Jefferson.
Alright, we need to update expedite, please. Bring him back, bring him back.
Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me.
Hey, let's just.
Stay with me. Hey, stay with me.
Hey, kid. What we need? We just need to run a scenario right now.
Stay with me.
Yeah, to the 41 patrol downtown, look at this. 1033 emergency downtown. 1033 emergency downtown.
Breathe, breathe. Hey, breathe. Stay with me.
Hey, where's he shot?
Where's he shot? On the back. Go, go, go.
Alright, hey, give me some gauze. And anybody got an IFAC?
I need an IFAC, IFAC, IFAC.
Let me get an IFAC.
What do you need?
We need an IFAC. He got shot in the back.
He was shot on the back.
Here, chest seal.
Let's bring him out, let's bring him out, let's bring him out.
Slide him out, slide him out.
No, it's it.
Turn him over, turn him over.
Right here. Where, boys?
Who shot?
I don't know.
I did.
Hey.
You go.
Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
Headquarters is broadcast. Visit 44 is canceled again.
I got no gloves, I got no gloves. Here, take this, I have no gloves.
Just keep breathing, brother.
We need some guns.
Just keep breathing.
Someone give me some light.
Right here. Hey,
Can you give me
C-locks?
gauze? Can you give me gauze?
Give me C-locks. Red, 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 red.
I don't do
Great, you want to bring a car up to you?
Keep breathing, brother.
Shut down at Orange. Shut down at the parking garage.
No, I think everybody's.
Hey, keep breathing, brother. Keep breathing. We're going to help you out. Keep breathing, brother. Keep breathing.
Relay that to them.
No. Open it. Open it all the way. Open it all the way. All right. Someone hold this up. Give me this.
Yeah, I got you, I got you. That up there. There you go.
Who shot?
Bless.
Hey, are you breathing, brother? It's not cool, man. Just keep breathing, brother. Hey. Hey, stop breathing. Flip.
I just wants to go on.
Hey, somebody pack that C-locks while I do this.
C-locks, I got C-locks. You need more C-locks?
Lift it off the ground. Hey, give a new C-lock. Just touch the ground.
Here. I got you.
Open it up, man.
I got you.
Here. He's still breathing.
Hold it up.
Keep working on him. He's still breathing.
I got you. I got it.
Truck 32, JB, show me how you got that.
Get some more gloves and grab some. Hey, C-locks, have you got it?
Also, visit the traffic.
All right, you need to pack it. Hey, push. Small. Push.
It's really bandaged.
We're doing it now.
Can you get gloves on? Yeah. Thank you. Whoever knows how to pack C-locks, please pack this.
You guys stick it in the
Hey, let's move this van over. I don't know which way this is
Once
going.
it's in there, put it over top and rip it. Anybody have Israeli bandage? Go.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, anybody have Israeli bandage?
Someone relieve Otero, please.
We got patrol cars.
No, we're good. We're good.
You got patrol cars.
You checked yourself?
That's an iPad.
I'm good, man. Alright, I'm gonna check you just in case. Stand for a minute.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna check you. You good?
Yeah. You got checked.
Good. Shit secure.
Turn it off the phone. Turn it off.
He's got 9.5.
Yeah, it's in your hand. Right here. Give me that. Give me the other one and put your hands on the steering wheel right now.
How much?
Don't move.
Word.
Put your hands on the steering wheel. Put your hands on the steering wheel.
You guys good?
Yeah.
You guys shoot?
Yeah, I did.
Sir, hands!
Hands!
Unit 44, shots fired, Robinson and Orange.
Shots fired!
PC, go ahead.
Hey, come on.
You good?
I got his hands.
Okay.
We gotta administer first aid. Come on.
All right, let's go.
Come on. We gotta administer aid.
Come on. Let's go.
I got his hands. You're good.
There's on the hard stroke.
Good one. Go.
I'm trust 62.
Right here, right here, right here. Go, go!
You good? Go!
No live stream. There in the left corner of Orange there.
Go, go. Bring it back.
All right. Stay with me. 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 Hey, stay with me. Stay with me.
Unit 44, go downtown. 1033 emergency downtown. 1033 emergency downtown.
Breathe. Hey, breathe. Stay with me.
Go. You need help?
On the back. On the back.
Go.
You got an IFAC?
I need an IFAC.
Let me get an IFAC. What do you need?
Chest seal. He wants a shot on the back.
Go. Let's bring him out.
Hey,
Slide him out. Come on. Slide him out. 1, 2, 3. No. Turn him over. This side.
who shot? I don't know. I did.
Okay, you go.
Get out.
Okay, Cody, just broadcast. This is 44. Is it canceled again?
I got no gloves. Here, take this. I have no gloves.
Just keep it.
I got the light back there. Let me get some light.
Got it out already? Get a crime scene.
Yo, watch him. Take him.
Red.
That's great. You want to bring a car up to you? Shut down in Jefferson, shut down at Orange. Jefferson shut down at the parking garage.
Yes, I'm good. Yeah? No, I don't got tape.
Relay that to them. And if you want.
Open it. Hey, are you breathing, brother? What do you need? Turn the camera off.
I just lost the
Hey, give a new sea locks and touch the ground.
I got your light.
Open it up.
I got you.
Here. Come over here. Scene, security, and Larry. Hey, set up.
I'm good. No, I'm good. I just need headphones on.
Okay.
All right, so here we are back on the first body cam footage. So these guys are out on bicycle patrol. That's a pretty common thing in large cities around areas like bar districts or entertainment districts, stuff like that, or for special events like parades or block parties or like a concert in the park kind of thing. It's common for officers in larger cities to be on bicycles. The bicycles allow the officers to get into areas a lot quicker than a vehicle can, especially during certain times. For example, bar closing time, the roadways could be extremely busy, and an officer who's in a car trying to go 2 blocks, it may take them 10 minutes to get from point A to point B, whereas a person on a bike, they can very quickly weave in and out of traffic, jump on the sidewalk if they need to, and get there within a couple minutes or less. This intersection that they're at or approaching, in the news article, the chief said that there was something like 400 something incidents and 11 crime guns recovered in 18 months. So just because there was 11 guns recovered in that time frame does not mean that those are the only guns to have been recovered in that time frame. I can guarantee you that there was probably at minimum double or triple that same amount in that time frame. So if they caught 11 guns, I guarantee you there's probably 20 guns they did not catch, if not more. Of those incidents, they didn't really break down the incidents as far as what was going on. 431 incidents could be fender benders, it could be theft reports, someone forgot to lock their car and they got stuff stolen out of it, someone had their window broken out and had stuff stolen out of it. It could have been fights outside a bar, it could have been shots fired, stabbings, whatever. I mean, it's a very wide range of things that could be happening. I wish they would have broke that down, but they didn't. The 11 guns being recovered, that tells me that there's probably a couple bars in that area that are attracting problematic crowds. So whatever it was that caught that one officer's attention about this guy, it did not catch these 2 officers' attention. Or if it did, they just disregarded it. They don't specify why exactly it is they stopped to get out with this guy. It could be that the officer smelled something. And if he smelled something, why didn't the first 2 stop? Why didn't they smell it? I don't know. So it may not have been something that was smelled. It could have been something that was heard. For example, sound. That officer could hear that loud music and wanted to address that problem because there could be a local ordinance on loud music. If that's the case, why didn't these 2 officers up front stop? I don't know. officers have discretion on things that they do for the most part. Now, some things they don't have any discretion on, like, say, for example, warrants. I think most places a warrant is a shall arrest kind of thing. Like, they can't get out of it. Like, they can't, like, all right, man, you got a warrant. We're going to let you go, though. Like, they're commanded by the courts to take people into custody. They catch you speeding, they have discretion. They can decide whether or not they want to give you a ticket. So when it comes to something, you know, possibly as lowly as loud sound, they can choose to ignore it if they want to. And it just could have been that that third officer chose that he wanted to do something. That officer could have also seen something that he thought was suspicious and decided to stop. Whatever it was that caught his attention, and he decided to stop. Because when you see these guys make their little U-turn, this officer's already stopped. You see his bicycle right there. And he's already walking around to the vehicle. So he stopped first. I'd imagine he called out to the other ones, and then they turned around.
Yo, turn off the car.
He did appear to have his windows up. You could see as he's approaching. So you can see the window is kind of fogged up right there before it rolls down. The other window is not. So he's probably been sitting there for some period of time. And he's got drugs in there. He was probably, rolling one. Who knows what he was doing, but he'd been sitting in there for a minute. He could have been playing on his phone. I have noticed people just sit in their cars and play on their phones a lot. So he could have been doing something, totally, I wouldn't say he's doing everything totally innocent, but he could have just been in there on his phone, because you do see his phone in his lap, and it looks like he's doing either a video chat or a Snapchat or something to do with the video, or he's watching a video, but he's got the drugs in his hands. So whatever he was doing, I think he was in there for a minute because his window's fogged up. I've noticed, sitting in my vehicle that, it really depends on, weather and everything, but I could be sitting in my car and my driver's side window will fog up just from my body heat sitting there versus my passenger side window. My passenger side window will be crystal clear except for the dark tint on it, whereas my driver's side window will start to fog up. So he's been sitting there for a minute, I think. The other officer, he mentions that this guy's got drugs. He says something like 95. I guess 95 is 10 code for them, or some kind of code that signifies drugs. And that's a common thing for officers to do, to speak in code like that. It's almost like being bilingual in a way, because codes and signals are almost like another language. And for example, around here, signal 2 means meet me. So it is common to hear people say, can you 2 with me over here? 2 is just short for signal 2, and it's just common vernacular for law enforcement. So when he says there's 95, it could be 1095. It could be 95 is drugs, or it could be a signal 95. I don't know anything about their 10 codes or signals. Just know that 10 codes and signals are different almost everywhere you go. Even in the same county or city with multiple agencies, they may have different 10 codes than what the next agency has. So there's really no way for me to know for sure unless I Google it, and I'm not wasting my time on that. But I'm pretty sure that 95 is referring to drugs.
Yeah, it's in your hand, right there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in this hand and that hand.
My bad.
Now, give me that. Give me the other one and put your hands on the steering wheel right now.
So this dude was taken by complete surprise, right? He's in there, he's doing his thing, chilling, and then boom, police are right at his side. He's kind of panicky, right? Like, you can tell he's nervous. He's doing the looking around thing. I would say there's a bunch of stuff racing through his mind right now.
Don't move.
That's a very clear verbal command. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Do not move.
Put your hands on the steering wheel. 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 Put your hands on the steering wheel.
He makes a super fast move towards that center console. It is very quick. When a person makes an extremely fast movement like that, there is a reason. He's already been given instructions to keep his hands on the steering wheel. He's been told, don't move. When the officer starts to open the door, he quickly removes one hand and goes for the center console. He had purpose with his movements. Motivation. We know after the fact that he didn't have a gun. We know that after he got shot, he throws something out the window and it lands on the sidewalk. It ends up being narcotics. So I am pretty confident that he reached for that object that he threw out the window. I'm pretty sure that was what was in the center console. My only guess is this dude thought he could grab that thing and try to hide it, do something with it before the officers pulled him out. I don't know. I mean, there's no way of knowing what goes through people's minds, and a lot of people, they do stupid stuff. And this was a very stupid move on his part. He got himself killed. He really did. It is 2023. There's no way this guy, for the last year, has not heard some story about a cop shooting someone. There's just no fucking way he's gone that long without hearing about someone being shot by the police. And hearing from anti-police liberal media that police are just murderous people and they're going out shooting people for no reason. Between all the media and all the social media stuff that's being pushed by anti-police people, there is no freaking way he has not heard anything about people being shot, and especially people being shot for reaching for things. Like, what was he thinking? For the officer, I legitimately believe this officer was in fear for his life. I really do. For the past several years now, the training is a lot different than what it was back in the 90s and earlier. Hell, body cameras didn't really start coming out till, mid 2000s or so. They were around, but not a whole lot of people were using them. And so for the 90s and up to a certain point, even into the 2000s, there was not a whole lot of videos out there for law enforcement to watch. So, like Trooper Coates' video. I think it was, I forget what state he was from. It was, I can't remember, North Carolina or South Carolina. Trooper Coates made a traffic stop, and this was like the 80s probably, maybe. He made a traffic stop on a guy. It goes south. He shoots at the bad guy. The bad guy shoots him. Round goes in, I think, where the vest doesn't cover, and this dude dies on the side of the road. The Kyle Dinkheller video. So there was only some videos out there that mainly came from dash cam footage. So there wasn't a whole lot of them out there. As body cameras have now become more popular, there are more videos out there for law enforcement to watch for training purposes. And there is a lot of them. And it's only going to grow from here as the war on police rages and as more and more agencies utilize body cam footage, and as more and more agencies are either committing themselves to transparency or being forced into transparency. So for this officer, he can testify that in his training he has watched numerous videos of people doing this same exact thing, making fast movements, grabbing a gun and shooting at police. For training scenarios, whether it be a simulator, whether it be role-playing with force-on-force weapons, whether it be using inert guns, there are scenarios, scripts that revolve around a person making very fast movement like this and producing a gun. But the videos alone that exist out there now, this officer has to be able to fall back on and say, in my training, my experience, this is what I've seen, this is what I've learned about. This guy was exhibiting these same behaviors, making a very fast move to the center console for no good apparent reason after being told to keep his hands on the steering wheel. I feared for my life.
You guys good? Yeah. You guys shoot?
Yeah, I did.
Shots fired. Sir, hands!
Hands!
So he has a weapon-mounted light and he has a handheld light. For some reason, he shines that handheld light into the rear of his gun, it looks like. I don't know if this was just odd positioning on his part and he did not consciously do it, or he was purposely shining that light into the back of his gun. I can't think of any good reason why he'd be shining his light into the optic itself. Maybe shining the light into the rear sight. If he had glow-in-the-dark sights, he could be charging those up with that white light. Why he would be doing that, I don't know. I can't think of any good reason why he would purposely be shining that light into the back of that optic like that. Since he has a weapon-mounted light, I personally think that he needs to ditch that handheld light, either throw it in a pocket or just drop it on the ground and activate that weapon-mounted light and use just that. Get both hands on the gun. That way, if he has to fight some more, he's able to do this with a good, solid two-handed grip on that gun. So this ambulance right here, let me back this up. They're like, nope, in the shift, we're going back to station. I don't know if it's in the shift for them or not. But they could have had someone in the back of the truck, you know, they could have been transporting someone or something, I don't know. Or they could have just been like, nope, we heard shots fired. I don't know. For whatever reason, or hell, they might not even been paying attention. They could have been Snapchatting inside their damn rig and doing a video and kept on going. But it was kind of funny to see him trying to flag this ambulance down, and then the ambulance just keeps on going.
Hey, come on. Hey, I got his hands.
Mr. A.
Right here. Yo.
You good?
Yo.
I need help. I need help.
So his breathing. When we get to the next video, I will talk about his breathing more. But you can tell already that he has agonal breathing.
Yo.
You good?
Yo.
I need help. I need help.
Agonal breathing is a snoring kind of sound. It is a breathing that a person does. It is a slow rate. It's below the breathing rate that is needed to sustain life. So a person who's in agonal breathing, if their heart has not already stopped, it will soon stop if you do not do anything to solve the issue. The agonal breathing will lead into respiratory arrest and then cardiac arrest. There are people whose hearts have stopped, but yet they still do the agonal breathing. It's just the brain still has some oxygenated blood in it. It's still capable of working to some extent and trying to get the body to stay breathing to keep that blood flowing. It's like the brain doesn't know that it's dead pretty much yet, right? Like, I mean, the heart stopped, you're done. This is the kind of breathing sound that people make when they're dying or they're dead, pretty much. Like, their heart stopped, but their breathing hasn't stopped yet. I call it the death breath. Some people call it the death rattle or whatever. It's a very distinct sound, and if you hear someone breathing like this, it's not good. So he very quickly checks his pulse. I'll replay this so you can see it again. Watch him. He reaches towards his throat area. I personally do not think that was fast enough to really tell if this guy has a pulse or not. Based off the breathing noises that he's making and the fact that when he starts these chest compressions, he starts making other noises, I don't necessarily think that his heart has already stopped at this point. I think it's possible that his heart is still beating, and that his brain is still getting some level of oxygenated blood to it, not enough to keep it alive for much longer, and that the chest compressions that he's doing, I think he may be responding to that painful stimuli. So people who are unconscious, you can rub their sternum with a sternum rub or cause some kind of pain stimuli, and they can respond to that pain stimuli but not wake up. So when he's doing this,
All right. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me.
I kind of think that's him responding to the painful stimuli. It could just be that between the agonal breathing that he's doing and the chest compressions that he's doing, it's causing some weird noises as the air is being forced through the larynx. If he had a pulse, then there's no reason to do chest compressions. The only reason you do chest compressions is to get the heart to pump. So if he already has a pulse, there's no point in doing that. What I think this dude probably needs is, one, he needs to verify if there's a pulse or not, better than what he did. And if he has a pulse, then what they need to do past this point is start plugging the hole, putting, well, not actually plugging it, because I'll get into that later. Actually, you know what? I'll save the medical stuff for the next video, because you see more medical stuff in the other video.
Hey. Did you got that? Yeah, I'm good. I'll talk to you later.
All right, so he has been brought to the side over here and separated from everything else that's going on. This is a common practice after a shooting. The reason why this is done is to, one, separate the officer from what's going on so that they cannot make any statements to anyone else. It is kind of a human trait, I guess you could say, or human tendency to want to prove yourself right, that you did the correct thing. And so people can become really talkative very easily. And that is the last thing you want happening after an officer involved shooting, is you do not want a person giving a whole lot of statements. Reason being is that person was just in a fight for their life. Fight or flight has kicked in, and with fight or flight there are lots of physiological and psychological things that change very rapidly. From the psychological standpoint, people may experience auditory exclusion. They may not hear the gunshots. People can experience time distortion, so to speak, where to them the perception of time has slowed down. They've seen something, or what they can recall is it being slow speed, or they can recall things happening very quickly. As far as sequence of events, they may get some things mixed up. You know, the sequence could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when they're trying to recall it in their head, they may recall it as 1, 2, 4, 5, 3. They may not even remember 3 and 4, so they may say 1, 2, 5. And when that statement is made at the very beginning of this, and then they sleep overnight and make another statement, their brain has had time to process this stuff. And they're able to mentally piece the stuff together a lot better than right immediately after what's gone on. So their second statement that they make is probably not going to match the first one that they made. And when the other party's attorney gets a hold of that, be rest assured they will twist that every way they can and make it seem like you're a murderer. Oh, so this is the first statement you made. Now this is the second statement you're making. Things don't match up. How come you couldn't remember right after it happened that this happened, but then a day, 2 days later, now you all suddenly remembered something? You're making stuff up. You're lying. You were there, weren't you? You were there. How come you didn't remember it right after it happened? How come you couldn't say 30 minutes after this happened what happened? Why did it take you 2 days to come up with this story about what happened? Also, under adrenaline, you can make stupid comments. You can say stuff that you would not ordinarily say in a way. So, for example, someone could say, "Hey, what happened?" And you could say, "Oh, he pulled a knife and I shot the son of a bitch." Okay, factual, right? Pulled a knife, you shot him. But adding the son of a bitch can kind of look kind of bad. And again, the other party's attorney can take that, twist it, and make you seem like a cold-blooded killer. Oh, you called him a son of a bitch. oh, he said fuck you, and he said fuck you at the beginning of this incident, and then you shot him, and then you referred to him as a son of a bitch. You didn't fear for your life. You were just mad at him because he called you a name. You're getting revenge on him. You're a murderer. So it's never good to make a statement right after a shooting. You want to wait a couple of sleep cycles before making an official statement. Here in America, we have constitutional rights. And one of those constitutional rights is the Fifth Amendment, not to self-incriminate. You can remain silent. And anything you say can be used against you. So it is in your best interest to shut up. Do not talk to people about what just happened. Now, does that mean become a mime? No, it doesn't mean like you gotta become mute. If there is certain things that would help the investigators, then say it. Hey, there's a knife under that car over there. One of my magazines should be over there. I was standing here when I got shot at, so you should see the suspect's bullet somewhere in this wall over here, or it could be in this car over there. Oh, that person in the blue shirt, I remember seeing them here. They looked like they had their phone out. It looked like they were recording what was going on when all this went down. They probably have evidence on their phone. So you can say little things like that to make sure that evidence is going to be collected in your benefit, but you do not have to be making full-on statements about what happened immediately after. You need to wait a couple of sleep cycles before doing that. So this is what's going on. They're separating him from the scene so he's not making a bunch of statements to everybody and it being recorded on camera, and that could end up being used against him later on. It is also a common investigative technique when something has occurred. So the act of a homicide has just occurred. It's justified homicide, but until investigators investigate everything and a official finding comes out, it's still a homicide and it still has to be investigated. And common investigative techniques for this is to separate people so they cannot collaborate their stories together. So it's a mix of protecting the officer from making statements, and it is also to retain or maintain the integrity of this investigation that's going to be occurring. Another thing that happens right here is this officer checks him out. He pats him down to see if he has any injuries. This is something that should happen after every self-defense shooting. Number one, you should do a self-check at some point. So the fight starts, right? Following the FAST protocol, you fight. Bad guy comes at you with a knife, gun, whatever, you fight. You shoot them. Then you assess. Okay, did my bullets do their job? Threat's down. Threat's no longer a threat. Then you scan. You look around. Was this guy alone? Does he got some buddies with him who've got weapons? Do they need to be shot? If not, top off. Top that gun off. Even if you think you've only fired one round, you top that gun off. You don't know if you fired one round or not. The brain cannot recall exact details a lot of times after these kind of incidents, and there's been people who are asked how many rounds did you fire. They say 5. They fired actually 8 or 9. Or they say they fired 10 rounds and they really only fired 5 rounds. Some people can get it almost spot on. Some people do get it spot on, but a lot of people don't. And it's better to be able to restart a fight with a full magazine versus a partially depleted magazine. So FAST. Fight, assess, scan, top off. After you've done that, take cover, treat injuries, talk. When it comes to treating injuries, that's when you start doing your self-check. So it needs to be at a point where it is safe for you to do so. There's other people there. Lethal cover's being provided. The person's been thrown in cuffs, whatever. You immediately check yourself. You go head to toe. You just basically fill yourself up. Limb by limb, from head down to trunk to the groin, check yourself. And then, when more people get there, someone else needs to be checking you. A different set of eyes. Undo the vest, pull it away from the body, or even take it off completely. Head to toe scan to look for injuries. There have been a lot of times where people have been shot and they did not know they were shot. There was so much adrenaline and endorphins pumping, they had no clue. There's been a lot of people who've been in fistfights with people, and someone else produced a knife and started stabbing them. They had no idea the person had a knife and was stabbing them. They just thought they were being punched. And then after the fight was over, they started noticing a bunch of blood everywhere, and it's coming from them. And then they come to the sudden realization, oh, I've been stabbed. So it's very important to do a self-check and then have someone else check you, head to toe. All right, let's do the next one. All right, so the second video here. This is going to be the officer who noticed something before the other two did. What exactly he noticed, I don't know. But he passes his vehicle and then he stops his bike. So something caught his attention, just don't know what.
What up, road? 95. Hey, stop! Atlanta police, stop!
So you hear him say 95. So that to me means it's a code for drugs.
Hey, stop. Hey, I see it.
Turn it off.
He's at 95.
Yeah, it's in your hand, right there. Yes, sir. Okay,
Foxtrot 62 JB, copy 13.
Now, give me that. Give me the other one and put your hands on the steering wheel right now.
We're gonna be at Robinson and Orange.
Don't move.
So why he had his baton out, I'm not exactly sure. I'm guessing that he maybe had it in his head that if the guy was going to try to take off, he's going to smash the window, or if the guy started doing something, he was going to try to smash the window and gain entry inside the vehicle. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, that baton is useless. And furthermore, using a baton to bust a window is not the greatest thing to be utilizing. There's plenty of videos out there of people using a baton, swinging multiple times at a window, and it just bouncing off the window. There's a bit of an art to breaking windows. I've broke several of them before in the past. The best way to break a window with a baton is actually to hit at the corner of the window. This is where there's going to be less flex in the glass and is most likely to result in the glass breaking. But even then, it may take more than one hit. So a baton is not the greatest thing to be utilizing. A window punch is the best thing to use to break glass. There are window punch attachments to put on the end cap of a baton. So if you want to rely upon your baton to break a window, I would recommend that. Otherwise, you need to be using a window punch to achieve that goal.
On you.
Put your hands on the steering.
The problem with batons, or these style of batons, is they are not exactly easy to get back into a collapsed state. When you extend one of these batons, the telescoping rods inside will extend outwards, and then basically they lock in place due to friction. And to get it to close, you have to smash it against the ground. The baton holder should have a hole in the bottom of it so that the baton can be put away in the baton holder while the baton is still in an extended state. So instead of him fooling around with the baton trying to close it here on the ground, he could have just simply reached up to put it back in his holder and pressed down, and the end of that baton would have come out that little hole on the bottom of the holder. Personally, I don't think the baton needing to be out at this point was even necessary. If anything, he should have been having his hand on his gun. So this is a crossfire kind of issue. When it comes to being able to gain access to a vehicle, you're kind of limited by just the doors, and so a lot of times people will be on each side of the vehicle. Now, when that happens, you are in essence creating a crossfire scenario. And in this kind of scenario, this officer was on the other side of the car. The other officer was backing away and then fired. And in my opinion, kind of fired blindly. It did not look like he was utilizing the sights on his pistol. He could have missed that guy completely. It could have gone through the side window and maybe even potentially hit this officer. So that's something you need to be aware of, is crossfire. And positioning yourself a little bit better, and having in your head, if XYZ happens, I'm moving this way. And if XYZ happens, the best thing to do is move to the rear of the vehicle. Don't go to the front of it, move off to the rear. At least go in the same area that everyone else is going so that you're not downrange of them. We see he draws his gun and provides lethal cover, but we also see that one hand is holding his handheld flashlight. This is something that is kind of common in videos. You'll see officers very quickly under stress pull a gun while their other hand is holding a flashlight, and then they try to go to a two-handed grip like they've been trained to do, but they've got this thing in their hand and they haven't fully clicked it in their head to say, hey, I need to get rid of this thing. So that, to me, is a bit of a training issue. I don't think that during firearms training they have been training to jettison things, unnecessary things, out of their hands to be able to have their hands fully committed to being on that fighting gun. To accomplish this, I think that with firearms training, especially when it comes to low-light stuff, you got your utility light in your hand. At the fight command, drop that damn light. Just drop it, get rid of it, and go to your weapon-mounted light. So drills like that should be incorporated in nighttime or low-light shooting. Retaining old flashlights for this purpose would be a good idea. So if you got an old flashlight that's broken, doesn't do anything anymore, you can wrap blue painter's tape around it. You can spray paint it blue, whatever. Devote it to training. And that's the thing that you could be using, pretending to, use it as a light and then drop it to the ground as you need. Or it can even still be a working light, whenever your company or your agency buys new flashlights and the old ones, they say you can keep, do whatever you want to them, throw them away, whatever, keep them. Use those as training flashlights and do those exact kind of drills that I was talking about. So I would have liked to have seen him drop that handheld flashlight and utilize the weapon-mounted light on his gun.
Sir, hands! Hands! Foxtrot 6-2. Yo!
2 shots fired, Robinson Orange.
Shots fired!
6-2, go ahead.
Hey, come on.
So now
Hey, I gotta say,
he decides to activate his weapon-mounted light.
Foxtrot 6-2.
we gotta administer a first aid. Come on, come around. We gotta administer aid.
All out stream there at northwest corner of Orange.
Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me.
Hey, let's just.
Stay with me. Hey, stay with me.
Hey, get. Alright, hey, give me some gauze.
He was shot in the back.
No, it's it.
Turn him over. Turn him over. Shot. Okay. You go. Get out.
Okay, coverage just broadcast. 44 is canceled again.
Somebody give me some light.
Right here. Hey,
Give me
C-locks?
gauze. Can you give me gauze?
Give me C-locks.
So this is one of the downsides to a bicycle uniform, the shorts. You could find yourself being on your knees for various reasons. You're wrestling with someone, you're providing aid to someone, you're taking cover, whatever. The shorts are really nice when it's hot outside, right? And you're not in a car that has air conditioning. I get it. It's more comfortable. However, you're also sacrificing your knees. And when it comes to people who are bleeding a whole lot and you're having to kneel on brick or pavement, you run the risk of putting a cut in your skin. And then that cut part of your skin on your knee dipping into that person's blood. And then now you are exposed to whatever they may have. They may have hepatitis, they may have AIDS, you don't know. And you have to assume they have something. So shorts are nice up until the point you actually have to do things that you want pants for. I think that with uniform stuff out there that is on the market, I think that pants could be utilized by bicycle patrol that would provide some level of protection to the knees and still be lightweight and breathable enough that they don't cook while they're riding a bicycle. Shorts that are a little bit longer and kind of go past the knee some, I think would be better, but I think the image of those looking like high water pants may be a detriment to some places.
Red.
I don't do
People are standing around with flashlights. So there's enough people around that this is working for them. However, you may not always have a bunch of people there. And so I think that one of the best pieces of equipment that you could put in a first aid bag is a headlamp. Just a basic headlamp. That way, if it's at nighttime and you open up this first aid bag, this trauma bag, IFAC, whatever you want to call it, you've got a headlamp. You can put that headlamp on, turn it on, and now you get to use both hands free and do work. If you're by yourself or with someone else, you may be having to hold a flashlight in one hand. And then you may not be able to perform certain tasks with just one hand. So you're going to have to either A, lay that flashlight down and then kind of be not working with greater vision at that point, Or some people may be tempted to put that flashlight in their mouth, and that is the last thing you want to do when you're dealing with people who have bodily fluids and your hands have been touching them. That is a potential source of contamination. Bringing a blood-soaked hand, holding a flashlight to your mouth and trying to hold the flashlight with your mouth. Not a great idea. So a headlamp is the best, one of the best things you could put in a first aid bag. When it comes to trauma care and first aid, having the gear is one thing, having the knowledge on how to use it is another thing. So this guy has a wound to his thoracic cavity. He has bled some from it.
Hold this up. Give me this.
They are taking compressed gauze here, and this guy is going to try to pack this wound with this gauze.
Yeah, I got you. Got that up there. There we go. Shot. Bless.
Hey, are you breathing, brother? It's not going in.
It's not going in. Yeah. So when it comes to thoracic cavities, you do not try to pack those wounds. Only if it's going to be at the junction point of the limb going into the trunk of the body. So like up in the shoulder area, that could be a place that you can start packing a wound. To the front of the chest and to the back of the chest, or to the back, that is where you use occlusive dressings, a chest seal.
Just keep breathing, brother. Hey, stop breathing. Flip.
I just watched the barn.
Hey, somebody pack that Celox while I do this.
I got Celox. You need more Celox?
Lift it off the ground. Hey, give a new Celox. It touched the ground.
Here.
Just because it's touched the ground doesn't mean it can't be used. It's certainly still capable of being utilized. When they get to the hospital and they go into surgery, they're the doctors are going to clean that wound. They will debride the wound if need be. And they're going to pump them with antibiotics and all that good stuff. So just because a bandage has touched the ground, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, that you cannot use it anymore. Actually, under last ditch medicine protocol, you can actually use dirt and leaves to pack a wound with to stop bleeding. Obviously, you're going to be going to a hospital after that at some point, and the wound's going to be cleaned very well, and you're going to be pumped full of all kinds of drugs and antibiotics. So they certainly could have continued to use that if they wanted to, but they chose to open another package.
Open it up, man.
So this guy lifts the legs, and I can only imagine that he's doing that because he's going to cause the blood in the legs to go back into the trunk of the body. So that's kind of a thing that some people have, learned in the past, is to elevate the legs of a trauma person to get more blood flow into their trunk because there's more blood in their legs. There's really no point in doing that in this kind of scenario. It's just a waste of time, in my opinion.
Can you get gloves on? Yeah. Thank you. Whoever knows how to pack Celox, please pack this. Here. You guys stick it in the hole.
Yeah, so this seems like to me that they've been given the equipment. They have some very basic awareness level understanding of what some stuff is for and what it's needed for, but they don't have an operations or technician level knowledge of these things. So I would imagine that, like most agencies, most companies, all that has been provided to them has been something like a basic first aid class along with their CPR AED. If they had had any type of real tactical combat casualty care training, you would be seeing them acting a lot different. So I don't think they've had an advanced level of medical training. I think they've just been given the very bare minimum basic stuff, and it kind of shows. And that is, think about it this way. What if one of those officers were injured? That would be the same level of care that they would be providing to their own people. So when it comes to medical training, it's not just from the mindset of working on other people. It should be first and foremost from the mindset of saving your ass and the ass of your coworkers. And then everyone else that you can save, that's just an added benefit. You cannot rely on an ambulance to get there on time. They're going to stage a certain distance away until they've been told it's safe to get there. The response time alone could be 7 minutes on average. You could bleed out in 90 seconds. So you have to know how to treat traumatic injuries. If you're going to carry a gun for a living, you need to carry medical gear for a living. If you're going to train on how to use that gun, you need to train on how to use that medical equipment. You need to, on top of being able to induce trauma, you need to be able to reduce trauma. And the best way to do that is to take medical training that is structured around TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care, because that is the most realistic approach to traumatic injuries. Your basic first aid class that you get from American Heart, Red Cross, etc., ASHE, that stuff is very basic first aid stuff. It does not teach you how to stop bleeding with a tourniquet. It may have a video that they can play to you so you can understand it, but you're generally not going to see those kind of basic classes have a bunch of practice tourniquets for you all to apply to yourselves or each other. They're not going to be going over chest seals or anything like that, or nasopharyngeal airways, etc. A basic first aid class goes over a lot of stuff, like environmental emergencies, heat stroke, frostbite, anaphylactic shock, being stung by a bee or something, person's having a diabetic emergency. Yes, there is a module in there for the bleeding. Someone's cut themselves, how to apply pressure, wrap the arm with a bandage, how to put a cravat on someone. It does not go into applying tourniquets to people. It does not go into inserting nasopharyngeal airways. It does not go into applying chest seals to someone, etc. The basic first aid classes that are kind of tacked on to these CPR AED classes, it's good information, but it's not good enough. And so for good medical training, it needs to be a separate standalone course that is devoted to the traumatic battlefield type of injuries and how to treat those and how to follow the March protocol. Unfortunately, that kind of training costs more than your basic CPR AED first aid class. But I would counter that with a funeral costs a whole lot more. So medical training is something that you need to have. Real medical training, not just basic first aid stuff. You got to have real trauma training.
Over top and rip it.
We got the check right here.
Alright, so he gets pulled off to the side, separated, and he gets checked as well. All right, so we'll watch the last footage. So there wasn't really much to say about his perspective. Pretty much everything to be talked about was from the first two cameras. Alright, that's it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.